It's Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Show. Let's talk, y'all. Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Drew's Mostly Queer Comedy Show. I'm here with another Drew from the New York comedy scene today. Drew Lausch, tell him about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. My name is also Drew, so that's gonna be that's like we're Mary Kate and Ashley today.
All Drew content.
Yeah, I'm originally from Fargo, North Dakota, so that's a gas. And yeah, I've been doing comedy in the city for like 8 years.
I feel like we started almost at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
And I do want to circle back to the Fargo stuff in a second, but
of course,
I think
we have to. Yeah,
I think when I first got into stand-up comedy, and I hadn't even started the festival yet. I'm pretty sure you were the very first person I ever cold called and like sent a message on Facebook, because I don't think we had Instagram yet, and said, I'm here, I'm queer, I want to be on your show.
Sure.
And you say what you say to anybody who's new that wants to be on your show. Do you have 3 friends that can come and buy tickets? And
I probably did that, didn't I?
You got it.
I had to. Yeah.
But to this day, I think that show is my favorite name of a queer show ever.
Homo, you didn't.
Homo, you didn't is
it's profound. It's a profound name.
It is. And here's what's insane. So, and it was right over here. Well, again, right over here being we're on the Upper West Side. But so West Side Comedy Club. Drew used to host. Was it monthly?
Yeah.
Homo, you didn't. Mm-hmm. And West Side Comedy Club is kind of a cool club because it's beneath a Mexican restaurant, so they actually have good food there, which is a selling point. It was a modest audience, of which your family was a big part of it. Yeah. And your sister was there with some hot Australian guy.
Yeah, my brother-in-law.
And, they married now?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I guess they weren't.
True.
Yeah, they weren't married yet, were they?
No. So here's what's so funny. Okay, so this show. Small audience, mainly his family. But on this show...
You're really selling me well. No, I'm just kidding.
It gets to the good part.
Yeah.
On this show was you, me, Rachel Sennett, and Tim Dunn.
Yeah, wow, what a lineup.
Yeah.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I mean, the Homo You Didn't days are really a trip. It's so funny. Do you know Adam Sank?
Sure.
Yeah. So he was the one that got me the gig at West Side Comedy Club. And even before, I was like, I'd taken a couple comedy classes, and I was like, I don't really know how to be a successful stand-up comedian. And everybody was like, you have to run your own show. But like, I feel like, because I did Homo You Didn't and then a brunch show there, because everyone needs to laugh at brunch.
Which was also a good name.
Bottomless. It's all lowbrow
can name
from me.
A show.
Yeah, totally. But it's so funny because I feel like that was the first 2 years of my comedy career. But it's like, and you know this being a producer, it's like I was so I feel like that entire time I was I was so nervous about as you said, my family was the most of the audience in that show.
Right.
Like I was so manic about trying to fill the seats that the entire run of Homo You Didn't, I feel like I was blackout. Not because of tequila, although I love. It was just you know what I'm saying? It was so over my head, and now I look back and I'm like, wow, I kind of can't believe I did that.
I think that's more the rule than the exception. I mean, I tell people all the time, I like doing stand-up comedy. I love producing. And there were so many times that I wanted to partner with comics that were already more successful that I was like, why don't we just produce a show? And they were like, fuck that. Because, you've got the stress of trying to put on a good show for the audience, but then also the stress of trying to put on a good audience for the comics. And no, it is. It's a lot. And then you work and work and work and work, and then it's 2 minutes till the show starts, and it's like, oh, okay, now I have to be a comic.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, it's really tough being me is kind of what I wanted to say. When I came on the pod, I was like, it's just been really tough, and it's been an uphill battle, and yeah, that's kind of how it goes. No, but it's so interesting. I'm you were probably, if you were on with Rachel, it was probably one of the first Homo You Didn't ever. I mean, it wasn't the first, I know that.
No, it wasn't the first.
But it was probably the second or third. I mean, and I, because it's so funny, you're like, oh, I reached out on Facebook. I'm like, I don't even like that. I'm like, oh, see, my thing is, I'm like, oh, I thought you were probably already in the scene. And I was like, oh, at that time when I was producing, I was like, I didn't know where to find comics because I was so new. You know what I'm saying? I was just like when you reached out, I was probably like, oh, thank God I don't have to worry about booking this one. Someone reached out. You know what I'm saying? And he has the same name as me, so he must be fabulous.
And what was wild about that show is, again, Does Rachel Sennett even do? I mean, I'm sure she doesn't do stand up anymore. I mean, I don't even know how much she ever did it to begin with. I mean, because
she did it a lot. I mean, she was on Comedy Central. Yeah, I mean, no, she was hustling when. I mean, I don't exactly know her full story, but she's been hustling for a while. I think she probably still does or would, but I mean, also she's like a movie star, so it's like I think she was
she's so funny, obviously, but so. Your brother-in-law, which we've just learned, this is fresh news. So his sister and this hot Australian dude are sitting in the very, very, very front, and Tim Dunn gets on stage and just goes in, and we find out that he's flown from Australia to meet her here in New York, and he did his entire set really just going in on this and said, I can't believe that he flew from Australia to meet you. I cannot even get somebody to come from Brooklyn to Queens if I pay for the Uber. And it was so fucking funny.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I'm so glad you remember that. I'm literally like, it's like, I was like running around with my head cut off, but I mean, I love that. I like want to, shout out Will. I'm like, I want to call Will and be like, do you remember when that comedian was absolutely going in on you? But of course it made sense. I mean, they had like just moved to the city and I was like, well, you're my sister and you're my brother or soon to be brother-in-law. You have to come to every show because like those are the rules.
Yeah. And I guess back then, I mean, I think I also produced a lot of queer shows for straight audiences.
Yeah. I know. I mean, Homo, you didn't. It's like, I'm so glad you like the name. I have a fondness for the name now. I kind of want to think about the other names that I had. I feel like Fagarella was one. I feel like they were like probably not on like, like Cinderella and Fag. Really smart, really highbrow. Yeah.
I was workshopping and I had a hard time naming the festival. I always have a hard time naming things. It's so funny because like when I started doing, because first, I think I was maybe doing a queer show every other month or something like that. And then it moved to every month. And now I do a weekly one, which is nuts to me. But now we actually get a lot of actual real live humans that buy tickets and come to the show, which is fabulous. And the idea, I think.
Is your weekly at Greenwich? Or
at Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
Okay, love, yeah.
But when I first started, Hugh Heisel was already running, he still runs one, I think every couple of months, called Gaylarious, which is also a great name for a show.
Totally.
And it was so funny because the booker at my club was like, okay, we want you to do a queer show, but it needs to just have like we love the name Gaylarious, and I would come to them, I just kept, it was like, something that's sort of like Gaylarious. I'm like, okay, that's already taken. So maybe if
you're like, what about Queerlarious?
Queerlarious. Yeah. That would have worked. We should have done that. Oh well.
No, it's like.
And then you were one of the when I started the New York Queer Comedy Festival. I still didn't know anybody. I knew you, but that was the very first time I ever spoke to Jay McBride because she was still running a show at QED.
Sure.
Bobby Hankinson was the first time, who's now like my bestie. Was sort of just reaching out to you guys, and the whole concept was we're gonna do this festival, and I think. At first, I thought it was just going to be a night. We were just going to do this show.
Yeah.
And then the winner would get booked on all of our shows. That was sort of the big prize.
Yeah.
And you were a judge and one of the main comics.
Yep.
And then it ended up being 3 shows and a finals, I think.
Yeah.
And then this last year, I think we had like 30 prelim shows, 20 semifinal shows.
That's wild. No, but congratulations. I mean, that's so big.
And I feel like also...
The first one, you were like, you get to do 5 minutes on Homo. You did it. What a prize.
What are you talking about? A show with Tim Dunn and Rachel Sennett. I mean, come on. It was a good show. But that's what's so crazy about New York comedy is like at any given time, you may be standing in a refrigerator or a meat locker with like 5 people that just started and then somebody with a Netflix special. I mean,
totally.
The way that we sort of interact with people on all levels of comedy at all the time is wild.
Yeah, well, the entertainment business is really a lot smaller than people think, but I mean, it is a really interesting dichotomy because I feel like there's this this premise in people's mind that it's like, oh, if you're a comedian in New York, like it's not that maybe people don't think it's glamorous, but that it's like very like cool or you're living this like chic life, and it's like no, like even the ones that are movie stars were in like Tex-Mex restaurants, like in the basements of Tex-Mex restaurants.
Right.
with us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, and like the guac wasn't free.
I mean, even smaller than That Homo You Didn't show, like, I know, I feel like I keep minimizing your show, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I did an open mic.
Feel free.
Did an open mic one time when I was first starting that was at... Is it the pit that had like the third level? I mean, it's like a broom closet that they actually use for. Is it the pit or is it? It's one of the mainly improv places, in I don't know Midtowny area. Anyway,
Sure.
So there's like the big stage, and then there's like the JV stage, and then there's like this. I'm not kidding. It literally had to have been a broom closet or something that they're like, oh, you can run open mics in here. So I was there with like I think 8 comics. It's tiny, and it's sort of like. And then John Marco Cerezi was hosting.
Oh, sure.
And that's where I met Etheria Coop for the first time. So again, it's just insane. Like everybody does the process. I mean,
no one gets out of it unscathed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you do skip it, I mean, even the people I think that like if you do hit quickly or you do, like
Sure.
almost wish that they still had that just kind of the experience part of it that leads up to them.
No, definitely. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look back on all the anxiety I had for like Homo You Didn't, and I'm like, I guess it was kind of it was like I'm earning my stripes. So in a way, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, you're going to be like 20, I don't know, 4, and you're going to be like completely cracked to do this. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, but now I look back and I'm like, oh, it was like kind of fun. The stakes were sort of low and I didn't know anything.
And now you're
you know
25.
what I mean? And now I'm 57 years old. So it is really something. Yeah. My facelift looks unreal though, right?
So now you do solo stuff,
I
but
do.
then you also do a lot of stuff with Zach T,
Yes.
kind of as a comedy team.
Totally.
Which they're so fun together, and they were recently in a Alan Cumming special on Showtime, which is very, very funny.
Yes.
And then you guys run, in my opinion, the hottest gay show out there, which
Thanks.
is
House Party.
House Party in Brooklyn. When did you guys start that?
So we started that, well, kind of as soon as so Zach did Bottomless with me. So that was like the first time we were like producing together. And so then we were doing 2 shows at West Side Comedy Club, which did feel a little bit like I was oversaturating kind of like what I could pull in that kind of realm. And then, but Bottomless kind of started taking off is like a generous probably term, but it started like doing a little bit better. And then it was kind of like we were getting more known in just like the queer comedy scene and whatever. And then Chelsea Music Hall, which is right underneath Chelsea Market.
Started there. That's such a cool space too.
It's really cool. And so that that venue was just opening, and they essentially just like reached out to Zach and I because they'd heard about like Bottomless, which was like a drag variety show, God help us all, and they were like, do you and they were like, we have this new venue, like if we give you a date, would you want to do a show? And Zach, I was like, it's so funny. I mean, like Zach was like, absolutely, and I was like, I don't think I can produce another show. Like, just post like Homo and Bottomless, because I was like, well, what is the game plan here? Because like if we're producing a third show, I mean, I would have like cut all my hair off. Like I would have been like, this is like too much. You know what I mean? Like I was so
3
stressed.
shows. Who could exist at that?
No,
level?
literally, I know. Well, my thing was always like, God, like because it's like if you get the
My sister and her husband are going to quit talking to me.
No, literally, I know, and they're gonna go bankrupt, but like they can't afford any more queso. It's like we have like enough. But yeah, they reached out and they were like, "Do you want to do it?" And Zach was like, "I don't really know." I mean, Zach was just like, "We're gonna do a show here. I think we should call it House Party." And I was kind of like, "Okay." And our brand at that point was very much like, we're party girls, we're bad girls. Like, as I say like that, it sounds so natural. I'm a naughty party girl. But so it was kind of like, let's dig in and do this. And then we did, and it really like took off.
I went to that first house party.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm so used to running comedy shows at comedy clubs, you know, where they're like, okay, you're going to be the gay guy who runs our, sort of gay section of it, but it still needs to, blah, blah, blah. You get to this venue. One, it was packed that night. And you guys immediately, you walk in the door and they started coloring us with glow-in-the-dark markers and handing us glow sticks.
Yeah.
And so in House Party, I think, has still kept this part of the DNA, and it's just like it sounds. It's a party. It is a comedy show, but mixed in with like dance and music, and it is such a fun experience.
Yeah,
I mean,
thanks for saying
like,
that.
and again, I was at that first one, and I've also been to one of the ones or two in Brooklyn as well. But it's a tremendous show.
Yeah, it's like it's really something. I mean, we before we started recording, I was like, we recently celebrated 5 years, and
Wow.
I know, and Zach and I were like, what the living flying fuck? Like, I mean, we just it like goes by like that. As I
And
said,
when's the next
57.
one?
So we're not sure if we're gonna do a pride event. We're focusing a lot on our like 2-man show, so we kind of want to hustle that.
Cool.
So yeah, as of now, we don't have one on the books, which is kind of like unheard of that I'm saying that. But I think it's like it's also we celebrated 5 years and we were kind of like, okay, like what is kind of next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the vibe, and we've been at a place where we've been, I think the end goal for like a house party situation, I would love to do like a Two Dope Queens style special, like for like, where we like bring back our choreographer and we have like the opening number and the whole thing. But
Bring Pamela
regardless-
Anderson down on a swing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of like we have to get famous to kind of get like how it goes, but yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll be doing a show with a Poppers giveaway soon, regardless.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, how did you and Zach never dated at all, right?
No, we like half hooked up once,
Okay,
and then
sure.
we were kind of like LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was sort of. But I think as like the gays know, it's sort of like if like one person's hot and the other person's hot, you're kind of like, do we? You know what I mean? Like, should we kind of like dig in and do this? But the one time that we hooked up, I had just gone through a breakup. My one and only, because obviously, how could you ever break up with me? But like I had just gone through a breakup, and he brought me to his college like alumni event, which was held at Lincoln Center. So this college has money. It was like an open bar, and so we thought it was like a bit. We were like, and it was at Lincoln Center, so we kept on asking people to take photos of us making out in front of the fountains. Like we just thought it was like a funny bit, like, and we kept like, so we were just making out like all night, but we weren't like whatever. And then I feel like at some point we were like, should we like actually like go home and try to do this? Like, I guess we've been making out enough. And then we did, and we kind of were like, we like made out for a second, like in his room. And then we were like, I was like, okay, like I'm going to go. Like, and he was like, go. But I mean, every gay friend show.
So the sort of duo act of comedy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, everything else aside, hot, not hot. I mean, just as a blanket rule, don't fuck comedians, y'all. But
fuck me. Yeah, no, totally. I'm like, but
I mean,
I'm
if you're
lonely.
a comedian,
Oh,
don't,
sure.
right,
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Don't fuck
shit where you
other
eat.
comedians.
Yeah,
Right,
totally.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was through the brunch. I mean, that was sort of how you guys started, sort of just playing with each other.
Yeah, well, so the first, so we met through a mutual friend. She brought me to a birthday party. He was there. He was actually dating someone. This is like to go back to us hooking up. And I walked up to him. We joke about this in our 2-man show, but I walked up to him. I had a staph infection in my leg at the time, so we always joke about that because I was like leaking from my leg, which is like gross. Sorry, y'all. But I like walked up and I was like hammered, and I was like, and I literally walked up to him and I was like, you want to get out of here and fuck? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay. But then we met and we were like, oh, we're comedians and like da 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 da. And then we both had backgrounds in musical theater, which is dark in its own right. But
You both had tap shoes in your handbag.
kind
at
of. Well,
the
no, but we
moment.
were like, we both did musical theater, and he was like, and I'd been looking for someone. I was homo, you didn't. I was like obviously loved, but I was like, but producing by yourself is a lot, and especially at that time. Now I would feel a lot more comfortable, doing it. But at that time, I was just like, it was just like a lot of everything. So I was looking for someone to kind of do something with. And West Side had reached out and been like, do you want to do another show? And I was like, I would love to, but I can't do this by myself because I don't want to do 2 by myself. And then it kind of worked out that he was like looking for an opportunity, and we like got drinks and really vibed. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to do a brunch show.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning being from Fargo.
Yes.
And I'll let you do your sort
Famously-
of intro. Is it friendly?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah. I always say, my 1-man show is entitled The Friendliest Faggot from Fargo, North Dakota. And I think I am maybe the only faggot from Fargo, North Dakota. No, there's many. There's a lot of people from high school that like came out of the woodwork recently, and I'm like, I have beef with them.
Yeah, I know.
Because I got a lot of flack.
Sure,
and they
sure.
and they were flying under the radar.
We were out there doing the hard work.
Yeah, it really was. I was like, God, like there were so many fagarellas at this high school, and yet I was the one getting flack. Can
Yeah.
you even believe it?
I've always related to your comedy because I think you do a lot of stuff about being from Fargo.
I do.
I mean, from being from North Dakota, and
Yeah.
then I do a lot of stuff about being from Alabama. And I've watching you, especially early on when we were both kind of figuring out how to. I think when you're from a walking punchline like Alabama, and you know, even
Totally.
and I think being specifically from Fargo, I mean, at least there's the movie, you know, that sort of gives people just a base level of the accent, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, you betcha.
Which is basically all
Perfect accent.
Oh sure.
Do you have chills? Yeah. No. Yeah.
So, but I think and watching you, I think both of us have the same challenge because we come on board with so many assumptions of the place that we're from. I mean,
Yeah.
because I assume, like, if I say something about Alabama, that the audience reaction is already thinking, "Oh yeah, Alabama, haha, that backwards, you know, kind of place."
Totally.
And then or especially early on, I was just getting no reaction, and I find that like a lot of times if people don't know, I mean, sure, people know the South, people know Alabama, you know, but still, it's sometimes not even like, haha, I think that they're a joke. It's almost a point of like, I so don't care about them. I'm not even laughing at what you're doing. So trying to find a way to sort of make such a niche area funny, but still accessible to, especially up here, people that have never been lower than Maryland or Staten Island. I mean, yeah.
No, totally. I think though there is interesting. I've done like gigs in Minneapolis, like Minnesota, right? And it's like, I feel like when I first started comedy here, the shtick was, I mean, well, also, you know, well, there's Sweet Home Alabama, I guess. I mean, we both have movies that are named after where we're from, but I mean, Fargo, the movie, was so big, and the series or whatever. So, I mean, I do think there's kind of people are like locked in, even if they don't, like, even if they're like, what the fuck? I mean, a lot of people are like, did you ride your horse here? Huh? You know, and it's like, no, like, that isn't the vibe. But I mean, I feel like there is enough of a name recognition to Fargo that I'm like, me saying that, people are going to be like, oh God, how is this Fagarella doing in this city? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that was kind of the whole, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, I think Scott is good in the whole thing.
So you study musical
Shout
theater
out
in
Fargo.
college. Where'd you go to college?
I went to college in Ithaca, New York.
Okay.
So I've been in the city now for a while
Right.
too. So yeah, but I mean, I feel like people, even still to this day, I mean, people have a big reaction to Fargo. Like still, if I'm like, I'm from North Dakota, and people can tell I'm gay by the, you know, I don't know, the flounce in my hair or the bounce in my step. But
Well,
people
usually
know,
you
so
bring
they're
it
like,
up within 2 seconds.
I do, yeah. I'm like, I was sucking and fucking my way to the top. Yeah, no, totally.
Well, I
but
mean, with the moniker "friendly faggot," I mean, it puts it on Front Street.
definitely.
Okay, so did you do? Where did you COVID? Did you?
Oh yeah. Well, so actually, funny enough, Zach and I were in Los Angeles on a work trip. I mean, it's like kind of dark because we just had an amazing. We were actually pitching House Party to like a bunch of places. So it was like very. I mean, it was like I started sobbing, but so we were like this amazing, and we were doing a bunch of shows in LA, and so it was like very cool. And then, I mean, also not to, I mean, I had headlined in New Orleans like the day after Mardi Gras.
At at the NOLA Comedy House, or
That is such an amazing question. I'm blanking. It was a cool venue.
it doesn't
Maybe
matter.
it was that.
You were in New Orleans. You were headlining.
Well, I was in New Orleans, then I flew to Los Angeles. All this to say, I think I may have been a super spreader, which is like kind of bleak, but I did have like a dry cough, but it was at the time when no one knew what the fuck was going on. And I was just like, wow, this cold really won't go away. Ha ha ha. Like whatever. But I was like right in, because New Orleans was massive. Mardi Gras was like crazy for COVID.
And super spreader was
like,
already your grander name anyway. So
yeah, they already knew me as a super spreader. Yeah, yeah. But so we were in LA, and I was like, wow, I have this like weird thing. But we were, so we like had our trip, and then I had a friend who was touring a show, and she was going to Denver, where my parents lived at the time. So I'd already planned on going to Denver to like see her in the show, and then hang out with my parents for a bit. And then I got there, and that was like the week that everything shut down. I was like in Boulder having sushi. Don't I sound like don't you feel bad for me? I was like literally
having sushi in Boulder a little bit.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, no, it was pretty good. No, but we were like having a day of shopping, and then she was like, oh, I guess all my shows are canceled. And I was like, oh, weird. And then my roommates called me, and they were like, actually, we don't think you should come back. And I was like, oh, but like you're being dramatic. And then obviously, yeah. So I was in Denver for a while, and then we went to Minnesota for the summer.
Drew Lausch, patient 0.
No super spreader. Yeah, yeah, it's Blake.
Okay,
Sorry
so you weren't here, but I think again, both of us kind of on a similar.
Where were you?
I
went to Alabama.
I grinded it out here the entire time. Yeah, I mean, I could walk. There were times that I could walk when I was living in Chelsea at the time. I could walk from Chelsea to the Meatpacking District to Fifth Avenue all the way around and not see a single person the entire time. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, that is weird.
But I think same as far as like kind of having something sort of building momentum and almost there, and then just poof, all comedy gone. Just in a second.
Yeah, we did a few online Zoom shows, which actually was kind of funny. It was sort of hilarious to see like 120 people like black out on Zoom, like on their Zoom. You know what I mean? Like, because we were like, we're gonna dance, we're gonna do this, and like people like.
Oh, you did a Zoom house party?
We did a Zoom house party.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
It was, but like, well. It wasn't. I mean, it was dark in its own right, but I mean, we got a decent amount of people, and at that time, it was like, I mean, people were like dressing up. I mean, it really was like kind of beautiful.
All right, cool.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was dark, and it's in the realm of things, but we were kind of like, but it was like something to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so people like, and we did like an online virtual dance thing, so we like kind of had it edited together. So it was, you know, it was like a fun hour and a half, and we were essentially like, we're gonna like do this show, and I hated the thing where like comedians were talking to other comedians like on Zoom for the show. I mean, it really did give me hives. I was like, this is just like so bizarre. Like, or people that were trying to do their acts on Zoom was also very like, it was just so fucking weird. But it was kind of, but it was like nice. I mean, everybody was dressed up. My mom had her camera and she was like playing with Barbies like the entire time. Like, and it was just like, hey, everybody, like, get a buzz on and like let's dance a little. So it was kind of sweet.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, we did. I mean, early COVID because I was still in New York, and still, you know, when you're used to living at a New York speed, and then everything just stops. I mean, I kind of needed about a month to sort of run around in a circle in my apartment. So Bobby Hankinson and I and Anton Damianos produced like 7 shows where basically I know you had stuff on it. I mean, Velvet Variety, which someday I will go back and watch these shows as we sort of just like slipped into madness. But from our separate apartments, and we basically just reached out to everybody we knew and was like, what do you have on tape? You know, that you can send us, that we can splice it together. So it was some, and you know, TikTok hadn't really exploded yet. So even the people that were already getting ahead of like doing homemade content and which is sort of the perfect storm for comedians, you know, you have to sit in your apartment and here's a new platform that is going to sort of feature that. And then, but I did not do a lot of the Zoom shows, 1 or 2, but I found them soul crushing.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I did as many as I think I could. In whatever realm that was. And no, I know. Well, no, I mean, I was just like, yeah, probably. I mean, I did more. I mean, I remember I did one and I was just like, this is so, I did one and it was like, what are you going to do? And so I was like, it was like noon and I was like, I'm going to make the most disgusting cocktail you've ever seen with like condiments and booze. And I like mixed it all together and like drank it on like Zoom. And I was like, I think you're having a psychotic break.
And then lately you've been doing a lot of online content with Ethan?
Yes.
Yes. So how did that start?
So Ethan actually, Ethan is like a newer friend. He, we became mutuals on social media, how it goes. And then he reached out and was like, hey, I really want to get into stand up. Like, would you want to, could we get a drink and could I ask you whatever? Could we chat? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then we ended up chatting and it was like good vibes. And he's like very viral on social media. And I was kind of like, I'd love to pick your brain about this. Like, I'd love to kind of
makes sense.
Yeah. And then we sort of, and then we were like, let's just sort of play around and see if we can, make some content. And we have, and it's like funny enough. Yeah. And we're going to keep going. I mean, it's like a newer skill, but I'm excited to keep cultivating it.
We've talked about comedy. What about boys? Any serious boys at the moment? No, I actually recently, this is kind of crazy for me because so much of my content online is kind of talking about my hookups and being like, oh God, you're raking these men through the coals, which is kind of sad. I'm like, oh, I'm doing such a solid for the gay community by like ripping these people apart online. No, literally. There was like one guy I hooked up with and he was like, hey, like, he was like, am I going to end up in a video? And I was like, no. Like next day, he was like, hey, like, I was like, sorry, girl. We out here.
Yeah, no, there's no one right now. So I had an experience recently where I was like, I deleted all the apps. Like, I was like, I need a minute. I think my thing is kind of like, I think everybody has something to offer sexually, whatever you look like, whatever the vibe is. Genuinely, I think somebody's going to be into
100%.
what you're rocking with.
Right.
That said, I think there's a special place in hell for people that like catfish.
Oh.
And like I was just like in a situation where I'm like, this everything looked a lot differently, and I was like, and I just kind of had a moment where I was like, this ain't serving me like it used to.
So this is somebody you had chatted with for a while online and then showed up and was
a while meaning like probably 37 minutes.
Sure.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I was like, which is a lot of time in gay years. It's like dog years. Yeah. No, but I was like,
I gave you the best 37 minutes of my life.
Exactly. No, but I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be such a good vibe. And like, you know, I don't want to go into I want to say this. I've fucked all types, like all races, religions, creeds, body types. Like I've really done my due diligence as a person.
I cast a wide net too.
Yeah, exactly. and I think everybody should, and like that's the vibe. But I was just to experience. You don't know what you like until you've really experienced it. And I feel like, especially in the gay community, there can be a lot of like bullshit with like you have to be this, that, or the other. You know what I mean? I've had people be like, "Why do you have back hair?" I'm like, "Does it fucking matter?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think people are so hyper specific, but my thing is like I would never, not that I'm, you know, showing, I don't have like a lot of back hair and I do shave it / wax it just for all the viewers watching. But no, but I'm like, but if someone was like, can I see your back? And my back was really, I'm really diving deep on my back right now, but I'd be like, this is honestly what my back is. I don't want someone to see me and be surprised. You know what I mean?
Sure, always. I'm a firm believer in undersell and
and so I can't, like, I'm just like, if you have whatever it is, you just got to be honest about it. And then if someone's like, oh, I don't know if I'm into this, then that's their, you know, it's our right to fuck or not fuck.
I think that's the you know.
I'm running for office.
Comedy and sex, the same thing. There is an audience for it. You just need to know what that audience, you know, is.
Yeah, I agree. But I did have a recent. Well, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, well, are you dating someone? What's your story?
Yeah, I've been in a relationship for about 2 years now.
Oh my God.
We're currently monogamous.
Yes. No, I love this. He's a little bit younger than you.
He's a little bit younger.
How much younger? No, I don't care. I mean,
20.
He's 20?
20 years younger than me.
Okay. I was like, okay, come on, girl. Fuck yeah, good for you.
I mean, he's 24. He's not that much older than 20, but
no. Well, yeah, he's 24.
Yeah.
Wow, how is that?
He's incredibly mature.
Yeah.
And you know, well, you knew Peter. I mean, my ex was 18 years older than me. Like I said, I do cast it. So I have never. Younger wasn't like a specific target for me, but
how did y'all meet?
We met on Grindr.
Oh, you did.
And it was just kind of a come over, let's hang out, let's.
Did you have sex on the first meetup?
We did. I mean, yeah, it was a hookup. I mean,
cheers.
And
God is good.
But I did let him spend the night, which I never let anyone spend the night.
But see, this is a thing that's big, and if I'm sure you cuddled.
Yeah.
Which is more intimate than fucking.
I agree.
Yeah. So if you're like holding someone or if he's holding you, and or you know, whatever, how that goes. But yeah, I mean, that's like really profound. And you guys have been together for 2 years.
Yeah, we've been on a first date for about 2 years. I mean, it was really like I was, you know, out of a relationship. I had been single at that point for well over a year. Had plenty of time to sample all the things out there.
Did you have like a sex rumspringa kind of post your relationship? Were you just like,
sure?
Were you just like fucking everybody?
Yeah. I mean,
How is that for your mental health?
I like a little bit of conversation. Like for me, the ideal hookup while I was single was come over, let's smoke a little, let's chill, you know, see what the vibe is like, probably mess around, and then, you know, that could be anything from 15 minutes to, you know, a couple hours. But again, the hard and fast rule was... I meant that is including the...
I've never given somebody that good of a time. Couple hours.
that is including the hangout smoking aspect
of
the
sure. Oh, I was like, tantric. I like that. You're getting in there, girl. No, I like that. That's cool.
This is my show. I'm not supposed to be the one being interviewed right now.
Oh, sorry. No, we were just chatting.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, so I like it, but I've also never. I don't know that I've ever really dated either. I mean, like I feel like I have two speeds, like hook up and we're married now. But I don't think I've ever been like, oh, I've gone on 2 or 3 dates with this guy, and I don't know if it's going anywhere. No, I mean, I know pretty quickly, like, whether we vibe sense of humor wise.
But I think that's fair. I think also, like, I'm almost like, I mean, I've gone back and forth now that I've kind of deleted the dating apps. I'm like, I think the next person that I date or fuck, I just want to meet them in the wild. I'm a little bit like, I feel like I'm real. I had a very busy December, January, and I was a little bit like.
Oh, so you're still completely appless.
Well, yeah, this was happened like 4 days ago, so it's like very fresh. I'm like, I have been off of the apps.
So I'm off the apps. I deleted them in the elevator.
It has not been 48 hours, but I'm making very bold like statements. I'm like, ever since I've been off the apps, it's just like everything's changed. You're like, how long? I'm like 72 hours. Everything's changed. I'm just so much more emotionally mature. It's really fresh. I could literally. I have a birthday party tonight. I could probably have 2 martinis and like download Grindr. But no, I mean, I think it's just like I was like mischief managed on kind of this like on this part of like my life, like the sex on the apps. I was just like, I think I've done this a lot, and I could use a break to kind of see what else is there. When did you like? Well, yeah, I mean, because Alabama. When did you download like Grindr? Like, when was the first time you did that?
So I'm older than you.
Yeah, by like 2 years.
I'm 44. So I had my evolution was sort of gay.com. While I was in college, which was still like you had to have an actual computer to do that. Then
was that like faceless, or did you have your face on it? Like, what was that vibe?
I had my face on it. I mean, I didn't care.
Yeah.
But it was sort of a lot of like chat rooms, sort of.
Copy. Like chat roulette, like where people like.
Well, because Alabama is Alabama, I mean, like I could have gone into a chat room for Auburn, which is where I was in school, but it would have felt like this. It was
really horny. Yeah, totally.
I didn't know gay people.
Yeah,
I didn't.
wow.
There was no community. There was no bars. There was no. It was just.
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, it was Alabama.
They call that the North Dakota of the South.
And then Manhunt, but so I kind of missed. I was in a relationship, I think, when Grindr came out. I think I was dating my first boyfriend in New York, who I started my jewelry company with.
Right.
I think when Grindr happened, because he and I met on gay.com or Adam for Adam, possibly one of those.
Also, that would be a great title for a show.
Adam for Adam?
No, well, that actually, yeah, that too. No, I like gay.com.
Gay.com.
A lot, yeah.
Maybe that's what
funny.
I'll call my special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of like 5. Well, this is a joke I do on stage, but I was one of like 5 dudes in a chat room for the entire state of Alabama.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't want to hear you bitch about having to leave your neighborhood and tell you had to drive 4 hours to meet a dude at a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then circle the trailer park until his wife and kids go to church.
Right. I love it. Maybe I'll find the one in Alabama.
Have you had a long relationship?
I don't know.
In the last 72 hours.
I know. I'm like, I'm like, well, yeah. I'm interested in dating seriously now. Only. Not really. Like, kind of. I mean, a year and a half is probably my longest relationship.
Okay.
Which isn't like profound by any means. Yeah, I don't know. It was also, we were in college, and that was kind of a mess. I mean, he wasn't out to his family. I was like half out to my family. I was tap dancing, so everybody knew, but it was kind of like,
literally.
No, literally, I was tap dancing. No, I was like, something was up, but it was like, it was the whole thing. But I mean, it was kind of like, yeah, like it was a college relationship, but I mean, I think the longest is probably a year and a half. And then the other relationships have been like, 7 months to a year, I feel like have been the maximum. So I haven't dated someone for like 5 years. Can you
Who
believe
usually
it?
bails first, you or?
I'm like, no, always them.
I was asked the questions coming out of my mouth. I was like, well, that's kind of rude.
No, it's not at all. No, I have a really shitty personality, so I don't know. I'm just kidding. It's varied. College ended because he was graduating, so that was it was a natural thing, and then the others, another relationship, I mean, he cheated on me in a pretty spectacular way, so I was sort of like, I mean, that ended kind of in flames, and then the other one I ended. I mean, so I guess I have, mostly, but I think it's sort of been, like, it's time, Like, I've, like, been ripping the Band-Aid off a lot, but I mean, I think everyone involved was sort of ready to be...
Yeah, it is.
Was done with the small talk.
You're sort of when you are living that sort of dating app life. I mean, it does become so like checking your email. I mean, you just like pull your phone out, and then it becomes so just like rote.
Yeah, I have a very addictive personality, and like so I was like, I'll get rid of the apps, but I'll keep the booze, but I'll keep the drugs. Yeah. No, exactly. I'm like, I'm not giving the blow up, but I will delete Grindr.
Well, you want to stay skinny.
No, exactly. Yeah, so you have to do that somehow. No, but I found myself. I also, again, this was 4 days ago. I should not be giving my PSA on this. I have no
your manifesto.
Literally. No, but I was like, but even in the past 4 days, long days, long days, I have noticed I am actually I have been going on my phone less. Like, I was checking Grindr and Hinge all the fucking time. So I was just trying to find the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so maybe somebody watching this podcast will be like, God, I really want to. But it's never.
Hit him up on Instagram because he's not on the apps. You've heard it here.
Yeah, I'm not. So there's no way to find me. Cut to me talking about my asshole every day on the internet. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's great. I'm trying to think. Well, are you open or are you monogamous?
We're monogamous.
Have you ever been in an open relationship?
I have not. I've been in one that probably should have opened. Yeah, totally. At some point, but. Yeah, no, currently. I've actually never been in an open relationship, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, have you ever wanted to? I'm asking if you and your boyfriend want a third. if you're down. I am kidding, but no, I mean, is there interest? I think about one of my relationships in particular, I was like, I think we would have been a lot more successful had we been open. Because it would have been more on, you know what I mean? Sure. I had no, but what's your
I don't know. I have been in situations where there have been conversations,
sure,
but just never really figured out how to get it off the ground. And then it would usually circle back to, I'm good if you're good. I mean, sort of
yeah.
I mean, and even I've been in times that sort of a possible threesome has presented itself, but. Not one or the other of us is like, I don't know, for me. But,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Threesomes are a lot of work.
And I think also, my boyfriend
It's not like the movie, oh, this is so hot. It's like, what the fuck, why am I on a Peloton class?
I think my boyfriend and I are both such different types, being the age and the whatnot. So even if we were, it would have to go one way or another, sort of, and then it's like, well, now we have too many of these, or there's too many of those.
Totally. Making sure everybody's needs are met and that someone's not getting jealous. It's like,
even when I'm
my
single,
God.
I've had a threesome with a man and a woman, but I've actually never. Wait, is this a lie? Have I had a threesome with?
We'll talk more about this. What was that like? Are you bisexual?
Not enough to categorize, but
good for you. I mean, cheers. I mean,
this was just, you talk about college messes.
Grow up. I'm just kidding.
This was we were all theater kids in college. I was young. I needed the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. You're like, I'll do anything for $15.
This was a situation of. A good friend of mine and her boyfriend, and it was a terrible idea all the way around, and ultimately did cause collateral damage to all of our sort of relationships. I believe I was uninvited to be a groomsman at some point during the process for their wedding.
Oh my God! Should we get them on the phone?
Should we not?
The pod? Should we call them in?
We should not. But no, I don't. I've never. Sort of group sex doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me in porn. It doesn't excite me at the Cock. It doesn't excite.
Totally. Have you been to a bathhouse before?
No, and I would sort of like to, but it feels like there's no pretty ones left.
I've only been to one in my life, and I was like,
where was that?
Well, so I need to preface this. So I went to a Cash Cash concert beforehand. Do you know Cash Cash? It's like bad white EDM music, essentially. But so I'd taken a shit ton of Molly, as you do.
Sure.
And so I was like, oh my God, this is so fun, right? And so then my friend was like, I know this place we can go, because we were like rolling. So we were like, let's stay up. And we went to this bathhouse. I had never been before and I didn't really know what the vibe was. But we show up, they give us like a little thing of poppers. So I was kind of like, I like this. This is sweet. They're giving us welcome presents. Yeah. So I took it like a shooter. I went to the hospital. But I literally I was so, I was like rolling, so I was just like running around these like dark halls. No, I know. I mean, yeah, yeah. I'm off Grindr and I'm off drugs for 4 days. But I was like so nervous about being there for the first time, and then this guy who was hot, I was like, oh, this is cool. He brought me into his room. And then he was like, he started, in bathhouses, it's like a sex den. It's like, let's get right to it, whatever. But I was like anxious. I was rolling. So I just started asking him like a shit ton of questions. And he like kicked me out of his private room. And then I ended up in the showers with this like older gentleman. And we just kind of like shot the shit. And I actually like very much enjoyed it. The talking part. Okay. Like the other stuff, like when he was like, I'm an architect. Like the other guy, I was like, oh, let's like, but I was also kind of, it's like, I was like, are you, and prep wasn't like super.
You were on ecstasy during this time period.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm shocked that he wanted to kick me out. I was like, so tell me about yourself. Yeah, no, he was like, could you get out? Yeah. Yeah, no,
Here's
but I mean.
Gatorade, go away.
I know, that was the only time though, but I don't think I would go again. I don't think I really had that. And
I know you just said that. What town was that?
It was in New York.
It was in New York.
Yeah.
So where is that? Like the West Side Club, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely never been to a bathhouse in New York.
Mm-hmm. And God bless you if you like them. I mean, I'm not.
I'm open to the idea.
I've never judged anybody
as long
in
as
my
it's
life.
not just absolutely disgusting. I mean,
Right.
I want like Bette Midler to be singing in the basement. I mean, I want like the old idea.
Totally.
I thought about it in Montreal. But again, it just never really. It's.
Do you, and I don't whenever I, in that setting, if I were, it's so weird because I don't want to sound judgmental because it's like, however you get off or you get your cum or whatever, I think God bless you. No, I really do. Do whatever. But if I was like, oh, tonight I'm going to go rent a room at a bathhouse and be face down, ass up for 12 hours, I would be like, I think I need to call my parents in the morning. I would, you know what I mean? I would be like, I think
they're going to want to see, they come to all your performances.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, but I feel like I would have too much of a mental thing. I'd be like, oh God, this whole thing. But maybe that's the North Dakota in me and I'm like a
same.
prude.
I've got some sort of prude
Does that make us Republicans?
It's probably what has come out of this time today. Group sex has never excited me.
Okay, so what, right now, if your boyfriend, came up to you, and was just like, Drew, two guys are coming over tonight, no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts, what are you saying?
God, I am sure his mother is listening to this podcast right now.
Well, what's her name?
Actually, that wouldn't happen.
Okay. It's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Again, because there's so many. It's like, what does a threesome even mean? Is it going to be somebody that's going to come over that we're going to fuck? Is it going to be?
Yes.
Are we sort of dating? So this is just a one-off. We ran into this guy at Trader Joe's. We brought him home.
Sure. Let's go with that. That's hot.
Sure.
You found this guy at Trader Joe's. He does it for both of you. And it's now or never. What are you doing?
I'm still trying to think mechanically how that would work, that somebody would do it for both of us. But I don't know. This is why I'm 44 and I've never been in an open relationship. I don't know how to.
You and I should record the next episode at the West Side Club.
Bring your tap shoes.
Fully in towels. Welcome.
Speaking of which,
yes.
Bobby Hankins and I are possibly going to start a jockstrap show at the Cock. So.
I've done naked comedy before.
I'm not doing naked comedy. God damn it. We have to do so much for no money already, and now everybody wants us to go to Brooklyn and take our clothes off.
Well, actually, that was my first paid gig was a naked show. and I was
that Adam Sank thing in Florida.
No, there was a show in New York at it was before Club Cumming was Club Cumming. It was the Eastern Bloc.
Oh, right.
And so it was my first gig, and I was like, I got $125 for 7 minutes of comedy, and I called my parents, and I was like, things are like really, like I made it. Like I really was. I was like, this is like big. Like I'm getting $125 for 7 minutes. I didn't tell them my willy was out, but
exactly porn, but it's not exactly not porn.
I know. Well, I'm often like, because it's like so funny because I'm like, oh God, like bathhouses like aren't my thing, but yet like I'll stand up in front of naked in front of a bunch of people and be like, LOL, like this is my comedy. But I think it's kind of freeing. I did a month of them in Florida, and I actually was like, and there was one performance I did for a nudist colony, like so everybody in the theater was naked as well, and like all the comedians were, and it actually I was like, this is like this. I feel a sense of community.
I think the Florida thing is
and self-acceptance and like the whole thing.
I think you reached out to me about the Florida thing, or maybe Sheba Mason reached out to me about.
Well, it was a gig of a lifetime.
It was somebody was looking for naked comics in Florida, and I was like, not for me, but
I may have sent
it to you, and may have sent it to Bobby Hankinson. I bet this is more y'all's vibe. I would do the jockstrap show with the cock.
Yeah, that's fun. I have a jockstrap I bought in Alaska.
Perfect. Does it have fur?
So if I can pinch myself.
Yeah. No, really, you're hired.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done a naked show in a while. I don't know if I would do a naked show again, to be honest. I do feel like that was like, I was so young and unafraid at that time.
All right, tell us.
Should we end here?
Where can
Yes.
Where can our fans find you on with your clothes on?
So at Real Drew Lausch on Instagram and at Drew Lausch on TikTok.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I love talking to you anyway,
Yeah, me too.
and now people get to see how funny we are. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, y'all.
It's Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Show. Let's talk, y'all.